Good afternoon, Santa Clarita. My name is Cary, and this is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. What a beautiful day out here in Santa Clarita, isn't it?
Amazing.
It's nice and crisp and nice and all that kinds of stuff.
No wind.
Yeah, we're going to have a very, very heavy show and very, very important show. But I want to take 1 minute just to give my props to my friends over at Jewelry Fix on Bouquet Canyon. I'll tell you, I've been to that shop many times, and they're the most honest, nicest people I've ever dealt with. And they got ripped off for like this expensive ring about a week ago, and I'm just sending my condolences for that, but also let everybody know that, hey, you guys are the best, and I mean that. On that note, so how do I want to start this thing? I have friends here today. You know, I have Cara, and I have Crystal, and I have my buddy Rob. And I'm going to start by saying on March 13th at 7 p.m. at RealLife Church, we're going to be holding a Candlelight Vigil in remembrance of people in Santa Clarita that had lost loved ones, young adults, to this drug epidemic, or should I say fentanyl crisis, or should I say fentanyl poisoning, or should I say fentanyl murder, because that's kind of where I am with all this stuff right now. You know, over the last year, and I know, Rob, you know this, we lost over 30 people just right here in Santa Clarita that died to this crazy epidemic. One's too many. 30 is just crazy, but people are asking me all over the places. They're saying, why is it so many in Santa Clarita? Man, it's not so many in Santa Clarita. It's so many everywhere. I do believe that Santa Clarita, we don't hide numbers here. We tell it like it is. You know, we have a great city with great politicians and people that really do care about what's going on. I mean, from the mayor, Jason, to the Captain Diaz at the sheriff's station, to the intervention specialist, Robbie. But, I mean, we have people here that really, really care, and a school district, too. Yes. So the numbers are right, but this is a national epidemic. It's throughout the entire country. People are dying every day. In fact, in the next hour that we're going to be on this show, there's going to be 12 people die in this country. And you know where they found? Most of these people are found in their bedrooms, in the safest place in the world, in their beds, found by their husbands, wives, grandparents, parents. Yeah, sorry. I was going there too, but you're right. Parents, and you know that. Probably as good as any parent that's ever lost anybody.
Yeah, exactly. It's the worst thing to ever see, ever. And I wish that it wasn't me.
Imagine, and this is to all the parents out there, this is to everyone watching or listening to the show. Imagine walking into your kids, husbands, sons, whatever, one of your loved ones' bedroom and finding them dead. Imagine that. I couldn't. I mean, I try to tell these guys, you know, I know how you feel. I don't know how you feel. Nobody knows how you feel unless you've been there. Yeah. I mean, we could all say we know how you feel. No, nobody does. The only persons that know how you feel is you guys and people that's been in the same position. So, but sadly, it's plaguing our country right now. Mm-hmm. I mean,
It's destroying families.
It's destroying families. It's destroying young people. It's one of those kind of things I've been screaming for the last 10 years it's coming. Because this is what I've been doing now for 40 years. I've been treating people for 40 years. In other words, I've seen every phase or crave there is in the last 40 years. I saw the crave of the marijuana, then it went to the mini bennies, and then it went to the black beauties, and then it went to the quaaludes, and it went to the crack, and then it went to the crank, and then the meth, and then the heroin, and then the opiates, and now the fentanyl. Mm-hmm. But this is not a phase. This is not anything like we've ever seen in history of drug abuse. This is Russian roulette. Every freaking time somebody plays with this thing. You know that everybody coming into my rehab right now, every one of them that comes in that is experimenting with drugs out there, that like any kind of opiates, have overdosed minimum once and have been brought back to life with Narcan. Some of them twice in one freaking day. If I sound passionate, I am. I almost said a word I can't use in this radio show. I'm so freaking sad, tired of hearing people call me saying that their kids died. I mean, you're one.
I'm on.
You're one that lost somebody. I have a mom that sent me a freaking picture. You saw Robbie.
Yes, I did.
She lost her son on October 25th. 2 weeks later, she lost her daughter
To the same thing.
to the same thing.
Jesus.
I know. I have a family of friends that are friends of mine. Lost their son and first their husband and then their son to the same drugs. They're in the same grave. They're buried on top of each other.
Well, it's not only like finding your child, but it's everything that led up to that day, and it just was exhausting. And
But you know what's real? I'm gonna definitely give you time. I want to hear
no
from you,
worries,
but
no, it's okay.
but the problem with this is a lot of things, and then I want to hear your stories. But we're not going to arrest our way out of this. We're not going to buy our way out of this. We're not going to pray our way out of this. We're going to have to arrest our way. We're going to have to buy. We're going to have to pray, and we're going to have to educate. It's going to have to be everything we can do. We're going to have to make beds available. We're going to have to make treatment available. We're going to have to educate kids, I'm telling you, when they're in freaking kindergarten. Because right now everybody's going around saying fentanyl kills. Everybody freaking knows fentanyl kills. How about all drugs kill? Because it's in all drugs right now. Do you know that most of the people that are dying from fentanyl overdoses bought crystal meth and they die that way?
Yeah.
Or ecstasy? Or M30s? Or Vicodin? Or benzos? They're not buying fentanyl. They're buying from fentanyl, buying something else. So the old recreational drug usage game is over. People cannot experiment with drugs and use recreationally anymore because it's deadly every time they play that game.
You know,
I'm sorry. I'm just so freaking passionate right now. I mean,
listen.
I'm so sick of it, Robbie.
Well, you have to be passionate because it will touch somebody's life. I just wanted to say, I'm really happy that the two parents are here. I just met them, and they will give their stories. But I wanted to give you a story of hope. Last year, a really good Deputy Rooney, he and I work together here at Santa Cruz Sheriff Stations. He works the crime impact team, and I work on the J team. And so we went to a kid's house last year. We went to a kid's house last year. Long story short, I was explaining to him he had something to live for. He was a former football player in high school. He was smoking marijuana and doing stuff. And I kept talking with him, and he just sat there just looking blank, and just like he didn't really care. About 2 weeks ago, he came up to me. I was teaching boxing and training some fighters, and he says, "You don't remember me, do you?" I said, "No, I don't." He said, "When you came in, you said that to me, and I watched you go and leave." He said, "I was smoking marijuana, and I knew it was just a matter of time before I got some fentanyl. I knew it was. So I want to get out of that, and I really want to dedicate my life to training." He said, "But you didn't realize that what you said registered to me." And that's what it's about. And I want you to know, before we go on, a lot of kids have great parents. A lot of kids, the parents get along together. A lot of the kids, some of the kids want this because of the media attention, because of how social media grandizes using drugs and all these things. So we have to get out of our head that it's just kids who have dysfunctional homes. No, a lot of the kids have both parents who love each other, love the kids, but the kids want to experiment because they want to belong. They don't want to belong to the normal system of mom and dad. Some kids, no matter what you present to them, still will use drugs, even if they have good family and a good family
Well,
structure.
sadly, the average parent, and I want to go to a different direction, but sadly, the average parent in this country spends between 2 and 10 minutes talking to their children today. So our kids are so connected to their friends that making decisions that aren't smart comes before the guilt that they would normally feel by making those decisions if they're close to their families. So that's just one part of it. Cara.
Yes.
So this is, I mean, I've known you for a while, and I think you're absolutely wonderful, by the way, seriously.
you.
And I know that you really are passionate about this. Tell everybody what's going on with you and what happened.
So I was married to my ex-husband, Aaron, for 4 years. He had always been addicted to something, whether it was pain meds or alcohol or other things. After we got married, he kind of strayed away. And then our marriage was very toxic. So as we were separated, he started getting addicted to pain meds.
You know what's crazy about that is that was all right in the beginning of COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And what happened is all at the same time, COVID came, a stay-at-home order came, and then right before all that happened is every time you turn on the TV, there was a crisis about opiates. Remember that?
Yeah.
And doctors started getting, my God, we're prescribing all these opiates and people are getting addicted. Big Pharma started getting sued. So DEA got involved and immediately the writing of prescriptions stopped.
Yeah.
Just like bang. So the supply was cut immediately off. But the demand was higher than ever in our history, especially with COVID.
Yeah.
Because people that were using are using more now. People that were depressed are more depressed. People that were drinking drank more. And there was, so many different people addicted to some kind of opiates. Now they can't get them.
Yeah.
Dealers were getting all these drugs from doctor shopping and sending people out. Bang, stopped. So that's when China said, "Ooh, what an opportunity."
Yeah.
And fentanyl came into the picture.
Yeah.
And people like your husband and your son got caught up right in the middle of that. So I'm sorry, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to give people.
No, it's okay. So he, while we were separated, he was homeless, so he was living out of a hotel room, and his drug habit became worse because he was depressed. You know, he didn't know what to do, so he went in and out of rehab, court ordered, but the court didn't provide him a rehab. He had to look for one himself, and that was 10 times harder because it was during COVID. Nobody was taking anybody.
No, and
Safer to stay at home.
Exactly. So he couldn't get his pain meds either because of
doctors
COVID.
weren't writing them anymore.
Yeah. And the pain meds he was on was really bad pain meds that nobody wanted to provide. So he got his meds through dealers.
And dealers weren't getting them where they're supposed to
No,
anymore.
they
In
weren't.
fact, some of the dealers didn't even know they were selling opiate
Yeah.
cut with fentanyl pills.
Yeah. So I was supposed to see Aaron the day before he died. We were supposed to hang out. We were supposed to do this government thing together.
Now let's get it straight. You were divorcing, but you still had a lot of love for this
yes,
guy.
we remained friends because we have 2 kids together, so we remained really close. I was still helping him out as the loving wife I was. And then he didn't answer his phone, and I said, "This is really odd because Aaron usually blasts my phone every day." Then the point where I'm annoyed,
Right.
you know. So when he didn't answer, I was like, something's going on. My stomach I was feeling sick. I was like, what's going on? So
My guess is you were worried about him quite often.
yeah, because I never knew. I never knew, especially with him. He was sober at this time, mind you. He was sober at this time. So my family and I got in the car. We went to his hotel. I knocked on the door, and some guy answered. And I'm like, "Oh, is Aaron here?" And the guy said, "I don't even know who that is." And I'm like, "But you're in his hotel. Like, what's going on?"
Right.
And then that's at the corner of my eyes when I saw Aaron on the bed face down. And I literally froze and I said, "It can't be. It cannot be." And the guy's freaking out. He's drugged up to the point to where he doesn't know what's going on. So I had them call 911. my dad goes up there.
So you had your kid and your
I
dad.
had everyone in the car. My kids, thank God, did not see anything. They stayed in the car with my mom. But I told, like,
So
I
you
ran
had
down.
mom, dad, kids, everyone.
Yeah, everybody. My dad was the one that touched him and said he's cold. Like, he's been dead for 14 hours.
And let's face it, and there's a guy in the room
Yeah.
getting high with your dead husband.
Yes, and he had no idea he was in the room with a dead person. So he flees the scene after I call the cops, and nobody knows where he went. So when the cops get there, they ask me if Aaron's ever done heroin, and I said he's tried it, but he was never addicted to it. And they said, well, the room is covered in it. And then they said, there's also fentanyl in here. And I said, that cannot be. That cannot be. And I just remember thinking to myself, how is this even possible? He was sober.
Yeah.
But
Which
I
is,
later found
which is
out.
the most deadly time.
Yeah, exactly. But I later found out he had a friend who was a dealer. She had given him pain meds, but guess what? It was laced with fentanyl. And the last text he ever sent was to his best friend. And he said in the text, something is wrong. Call me in the morning to make sure I'm alive.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the last, and that was at 4 a.m. So I'm thinking around 4:30ish is when he passed.
With somebody in the room.
Yes.
Oh, that.
Yeah. And it really bugs me because the person that gave him the meds is now, who knows where she's at. And the cops are still have his phone. I'm still trying to figure out what to do in this situation.
It got really ugly in that room with you, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like a murder scene, to be honest, because the next day I had to go and get all of his stuff.
Right.
The bed was covered in blood. It looked like he was murdered. I honestly felt, it didn't feel real. It felt like a movie. Like, it really felt like a movie.
If you all haven't seen an overdose, it's one of the most terrible things you can ever imagine. It does look like a murder scene.
Yeah, I just wanted to cry at that point, and I was crying, and I just remember grabbing his stuff, and like the last things he ever touched, I'm just like, what was he feeling at this moment?
Right. That's every parent's question. Every parent
Yeah.
I've spoken to wants to know, did they feel the pain? Did they know what
Exactly.
was going on? Chances are they felt nothing. Because what happens with an overdose is your breathing starts getting really shallow, and then you just go unconscious, and you don't know what's going on. That's why when someone's Narcan back to life, they don't know anything that happens. The only thing they know is they got high, and now they're in the back of an ambulance or it's laying on a floor with somebody doing CPR and sticking Narcan up their nose. They don't know what happened. So chances of them feeling anything is pretty slim, just so you know, if that
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah.
You also had your daughter that wanted to help.
She wanted to help we'll clean the room up, but I would not let her come with me. She had to stay with my mom.
She's how old?
She's 8 years old. She'll be 9 in April, but
Yeah, you had to protect her.
she was really close to her dad. Like, they were like best friends. So every morning she'll wake up and say hello to her dad, because I have him in a little jar with ashes in a little cage. She put him in a cage
So he can't
so
get out.
he's protected.
I got that. Wow.
So
That's profound, isn't it?
I'm just listening.
Yeah.
last night she grabbed daddy and took him with her, to watch a movie with her, and I was like, if it makes her feel better.
So she actually put her dad in a cage to protect him.
Yes,
How
because
sad.
she didn't want him to get out.
How beautiful, but how sad. Wow.
You gotta love kids.
You gotta love them. That's for sure.
But my son, he's only 7 years old, but he was 6 at the time my husband passed. But he said he keeps bringing up his dad, and he never was really close to his dad. But he said he told his grandma, he was sitting on the couch at their house, and he looked up the back door and he said, "Grandma, is Daddy gonna come through that door one day?"
Wow.
And Grandma goes, "Well, one day I'm gonna pass away, and then maybe me and your dad will come together and visit you." And he goes, "Oh, I would like that, Grandma." And I just wanted to cry because it's like,
I wanna.
the way
I
that-
wanna give this kid a hug. Where is he?
he?
Wow.
But it also makes me feel better because he thinks of his dad is still with him,
Yes.
regardless.
Wait, and I look at it that way too. When we lose somebody that we love, they're always here in our hearts.
Yeah.
They never go anywhere.
Yeah.
And a little piece of us goes too.
Yeah.
And that saying that you hear over and over again that time heals all, no, it doesn't. Time makes it easier. We can handle it and go on living, but life is for the living, and y'all gotta live. We all gotta live.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So-
in the past is dangerous for your future.
that's the rumor. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right
Yes.
back with Cara and Crystal and Robbie and myself. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here on AM 1220, 98.1 FM KHTS, our local hometown radio. Pretty cool. Whenever I'm driving, I have it on because I find out what's going on up here. Then what a story.
Yeah.
For people that is just joining us. Cara and Crystal are here with me along with Robbie, and Cara actually lost her ex-husband to a fentanyl overdose, buying or getting pills that he thought were something different.
Yes.
Crystal, which we're going to come to in a minute, she needs to.
I need to get a grip.
She wants us to give her a minute. Lost her son. On March 13th, we're going to be holding a vigil at RealLife Church, Action Drug Rehab's KHTS Radio and RealLife Church, in remembrance of all these people that were lost right here in Santa Clarita, but not just right here in Santa Clarita, all throughout the world, because this is not a local problem. This is a national problem. This is a worldwide program right now, and we're losing way too many people. In the hour that we're here today, a dozen people are going to be found dead in their freaking bedrooms because of this fentanyl crap. Excuse my language, I'm not going to cuss, but the hell with alcohol and drugs. Seriously, the hell with them. And everything that comes with them, the hell with alcohol and drugs. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that, and your kids had to go through that, and that's just terrible.
Yeah.
How are you handling all this now? What do you want to say?
I have my days where I just cry.
Yeah.
I, to this day, have not really gotten help for it. Like, as far as talking to anybody, my kids have, which is great. But I mean, there are days where I want to call Aaron and I can't. And it's like, he used to be there for me. Even when we were divorced, I would have a panic attack and I'd call him and he would tell me, "Cara, just get a grip."
And you got a grip.
And I got a grip. And he's like, "There's nothing going on with you. Just, you're fine. You're fine." But I do remember one time before he passed, this was probably like a couple months before he passed away, he told me, he said, "You're going to live longer than me." And I said, "Well, don't say that. Don't say you're going to live a long time." He said, "No, I have a feeling I'm going to die of like a drug overdose one day."
You know, I hear that from almost everyone that comes into rehab right now. Almost every one of them has that fear of dying today because they all know somebody that's died, and they all or they've been Narcan, or they know what's going on out there right now. So
Yeah.
the sad thing is they know it and they do it anyways.
Yeah, I know. It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah. Well, you know how much I appreciate and care about you, and I mean that.
Thank you.
And we're not going to let these people, your husband or your son, die in vain. We're going to freaking do something about it. We're going to use their story to save other people. And I promise you, if you're all listening to this show and you know somebody that is using, share this show with them.
That's right.
because this will save their life. This is what's going to. So I promise you, your story will save lives. I promise you that. You might not never know it, but it will.
Okay.
And then my friend Crystal. I mean, I just can't. I can't even imagine what you've been through, because I know that he died at home,
Yes,
and I know that you tried everything in the world to make sure he wasn't going to die.
I did. And I was. He didn't. He was afraid to die. He was too afraid to live. That's And this medicine. I mean, he always. I worry about everything, even tomorrow, and it's not even here yet. But I asked him always, like, how do you not worry about anything? And he never did. It was amazing, but he was a kid as well.
How old was he?
He was 19 when he passed away. And
I'm so sorry. It's
thank you.
really.
I did, I didn't think it was anybody else's problem except for my own and my husband's, and I couldn't fix the problem. And so I struggled with that every day, but he always said he was gonna leave and do it so that I would never find him.
He knew he was an overdose, didn't he? Eventually.
He knew something. It's like,
Yeah.
it was like he just didn't want to be here anymore. And he's like, Mom, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just don't want to hurt anymore. And I'm like, if you go and do it somewhere else, I'm always going to be that hopeful. Anytime somebody knocks on the door, or, that's the worst thing you could do, any of it. But, we got to stick together.
So he used in his bedroom.
No, it was in the living room, and it was
In the
just
living
like, I don't know. He told me the day before, he's like, I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid. And so for him not to ever be afraid of anything, and then to say this to me the day before he died, that he wanted to get better, he wanted to feel better, and he just said, I'm going to stop, Mom, I promise. And then to have that happen, and to read our messages, and how he was telling me how he's afraid, and how he was afraid to go through the withdrawal of it.
That we're going to talk about in a minute. Well, I'll just say it really quickly. Fentanyl is the hardest drug to withdraw from ever. And the reason is you can't really give anybody any detox meds for 48 hours.
Right.
Because if you do, they get sicker. So it's that 48 hours of hell that's as bad as death to them that scares them so much. So that's what he meant when he said he was afraid to go through that. So they risk this so they don't have to go through that.
I just wanted to ask one quick question and stay on your story. Are you receiving counseling now?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I don't even... My life stopped, really, when he passed away, and it takes everything out of me just to get out of bed. And I make
For
sure
a long
that...
time you couldn't. You were calling me, and I know you couldn't.
So, I mean, it's a struggle to live for me now, because I'm trying to live without him, and he was with me for 19 years all the time, and
He was your baby.
he was my baby, and just the circumstances when, even after he left,
Crystal, can you take us through that day?
of the day he died. Well, after they took him from me.
I know you tried to. You were so worried about it that you walked in. You checked on him 3 or 4 times.
Yes, I checked on him every night, but he was, Mom, just make sure I don't go to sleep. And I can't remember if he said it the day before, but that was during the day. I can't check on him when I'm asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, you can't. You can't be expected to.
But
check on
I
him.
still, it's like you have that thing in the back of your head that no matter what. And I kept waking up and going to check on him. And every time he did overdose, there was a certain way that he did. I mean, I know because I revived him 9 times.
You revised him 9 times.
9 times.
You poor thing.
So it wasn't like, I was like every day just waking up It was like, okay, how is he gonna make it today? How is it gonna be today? But it was hell. I mean, he had just wanting to kill him. He wanted to die.
That sounds like it.
He wanted to die. And I
Yeah.
don't think anything that I could have done could save him, but I tried.
No.
And I even gave him the Suboxone, and it helped. But then it's like, what kind of high are you going for, mister? You know? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that he wanted to leave me. I know that, but
Do you have other children?
I have two. But I mean, I lost my whole family when this happened. You know, it was just like they all grieved differently, so they pointed fingers, and I don't know. It's just horrible.
Cara, what do you want to say to her?
It's not easy. When Aaron died, I felt like I lost everything too. I remember being angry at him.
Y'all listening, this is to get high. This is what happens. Is it freaking worth it? Sorry.
No.
Yeah. I broke down the other day because I literally was so mad, and I said, how could Aaron leave me alone to raise our two children? I literally said that, and I cried, and I said, I can't do this alone.
Right.
It's so hard.
There's nothing like, you know, it sucks, but, you know, I cry in the grocery store. I
Yeah.
cry every day. And I'm so embarrassed because I cry all the time.
And you know what? You don't need to be embarrassed, because we all can cry. It's an emotion. I mean, I cry watching a movie, thinking about a movie we watched together, or, you know, any little song I play on the radio reminds me of Aaron, and I just cry, and it sucks.
When somebody that we love leaves us, a little piece of us goes with them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But for Crystal, I mean, you're doing you're doing a whole lot better than you think you are. Because I remember speaking to you a year ago.
I know.
And look at you now. You're dressed. You got makeup on. You're alive. A year ago, you couldn't get out of bed. And you're here today sharing your story.
And what I want to say to Crystal is, your son didn't die in vain, because you're here telling your story, and who knows, your story may save somebody's life. So,
Everybody needs somebody to talk to. And that's
Exactly.
the thing is, anytime I searched for every counselor, you know, I would normally just say, doctor, just give me a pill so I don't feel it. That's it, you know, because it's so much easier to mask it or Band-Aid it or whatever. But everybody's got a vice, something that they need to just whatever. So nobody's perfect. And it could happen to anybody. So I just went through hell trying to fix it, and there was no fixing it with Nicholas. And in the very first day, it shut his kidneys down. You know, I saw a drastic change in his brain. He could not make decisions for himself anymore after that. And I was afraid to ask him, really, how are you feeling, Nicholas? Are you able to go, you know, internally? His weight dropped, and just, gosh.
Watching somebody addicted to drugs is terrible.
And then to have to, you know, oh my gosh, is it going to be today that he does it, or am I going to make, you know, I couldn't do anything to help him. And so that's what's scary. But going to, like, even meetings and hearing, thank God for my sponsor. Thank God for my sponsor. And then I'm thinking, that's it. Somebody needs somebody. It doesn't matter. Just one person. Like, he would have totally been, I think you could have helped my son so much. I really do. That's what's sad.
Appreciate that. And I want you to know.
Hold on, Robbie. Come here. Yeah. Okay.
What I want you to know is there are people out here that want to help. You know, I don't give her a hug. I don't think that I have all the answers, but I know how to support people. And I believe
I'm okay. I'm sorry.
No,
It's
you're
okay.
you're better than okay.
It's
You're-
okay.
You should be really proud of
It's okay.
yourself, Crystal.
You should be.
She should, huh?
Oh,
I mean,
definitely. I mean, it takes courage. It takes courage to do what you're doing, to talk about what's going on. Your story, both of your stories, are going to touch somebody.
A lot of people.
It's going to touch somebody, and you should be an advocate for this, to save lives. That's our purpose. That's what Cary's purpose is. Before, when I was a gang officer, I was taking bad guys off the street and all that. But now, to see the devastation that this drug causes, I'm there to be there for the parents, to fight with you, to talk to you, to hear what you're saying, to make recommendations to you, and to stand with you. Not just talk it in front of people. I'm going to stand with you. No, I'm talking about when you call me 4 o'clock in the morning or something, I'll pick up that phone and what's going on. You need some help. What it is. And in closing, I will say this. You have a sponsor, and I think this is just my opinion. Get connected, if you haven't already, in church with a group that can talk with you.
Right.
They can be there with you.
Right.
Okay? So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but your story is very strong, and I want to hear it. We want to hear it.
Thank you.
This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. Man, my heart hurts for you guys. My heart hurts for everyone that's lost somebody to this terrible epidemic that we're going through right now. You have a picture, Crystal, of the day before your kid was poisoned by fentanyl.
Poisoned, yes.
And he sent you a picture to show you.
Yeah.
Show everybody your
Look
picture.
at my eyes, Mom.
The camera's right there.
Is that good? I mean, they're pinned, so he's, completely either coming out of it, or
Crystal,
I don't know.
we got a lot of viewers on this show, and a lot of viewers are either people that are getting loaded or have family members that are. What's your message to somebody that's getting high right now? Both of you. I want to hear from both of you. What's your message to somebody out there that's playing around with drugs today? Carl?
You never know. It's like playing a game of roulette. You just
Yes.
never know. And that's a lot what Aaron did. He played a game of roulette every day, and he even told me, he said, wonder when the last time is going to be, when I'm going to lose at this game. And that sticks with you. That sticks with you because you constantly remember. He knew he was going to die. Like, he knew he was going to die. And he was only 29 years old, like 3 months shy of his 30th birthday. And he was so excited for his 30th birthday. And it was weird because the day before he'd pass, we had a family day, and he bought our kids presents. And I said, why are you buying them presents? Like, their birthday isn't for, a long time. He said, oh, because I don't know if I'm going to be here on Christmas. So.
That's crazy, but I hear that every day from everyone that calls me. I don't know how long I'm going to stay alive. The drugs are so bad out here. I've overdosed numerous times, or I know friends that are dying. So it's a game. It's a game today you can't win. No. If you're using any drugs today, here's what you got to know. There are no real drugs out there today, period. Every drug out there, unless you get it directly from a pharmacy or cut with something, chances are fentanyl. And they're saying 6 out of 10 pills, this is from the DEA, have a lethal amount of drugs that can take people's lives. And you got to remember, man, these drugs are not made by chemists, not doctors, not chemists, not brain surgeons. So figure out who's making these pills. If they cut it wrong, you're dead. There's no maybe. There's no if. That's why we're actually having what you call mass amounts of casualties. I mean, people dying in the same room together. Yeah. Narcan's not going to save you.
No.
if everybody's dead.
Narcan first, and then they're doing the
Well,
drugs.
that is
and
not
just
that's
so stupid.
it's not gonna work.
It's-
I've heard that people think, well, if I take Narcan first, then I won't overdose. That's a bunch of bullcrap. Can't happen. Narcan only works after the fact, and you can't Narcan yourself. Crystal, what do you want to say to people that are listening to you right now? What do you have to say to people using drugs today? How about moms that have children?
Call me, talk to me. You know, maybe I could help myself helping others, because I don't know what a good message would be to anybody with this going on. It's like the pandemic and then this. How much more tragedy do we need? You know, and I'm thankful that I'm still here, but I feel like I'm dead inside, and it sucks, and nobody could help me feel better. I'm gonna have to do that on my own and find peace.
You're doing a heck of a good job, Crystal. You've come so far. When you called me about a year ago, remember?
Yes.
And we've been hanging out a little bit here and there. And
Yes.
you've come so freaking far. I'm so proud of you. I mean that.
Thank you.
So do me a favor, lean forward, pick up your right hand, put it behind your back, pat yourself on the back.
Okay.
Serious, good job.
Thank you.
Because you've come a long, long way, and you're doing better than you think. You're doing better than you think you are. You too.
Yes.
You really are. I mean,
Both of you.
what
You're
you
true
guys-
fighters.
Yeah, what you guys
You
been
have
through,
to-
man.
You have to fight. You have to. I don't want to. I'm not being religious when I say this, and you know I see your pain, and I understand. I understand that my mother was she had some major issues, and she had alcohol. I lost a brother to drugs. And
No one's immune to this.
no one's
man.
no one's immune to it. But I do say this, and when I say this, this is just not. And even off the air, I'll get hooked up with you. You have to find your strength in God. You have to.
Right.
And people use that very loosely. And God understands your pain. He understands your hurt. But there are people that care in the ministry. There are people that care at Grace Baptist, Real Life, Higher Vision,
Right.
the church that I go to. And you get connected into a group. And you can talk, and nobody's going to look down on you. Our purpose in life is to uplift you, to
You know
bring
what I'm
you
going to do?
back.
I'm going to start seriously. I'm talking to a grief recovery expert, and I'm a grief recovery counselor too. I've
Yeah.
been through all that, but we're gonna start a grief recovery group very shortly over at Action, because it's so needed.
And I'll
right
be
now.
there.
Now, just so everyone out there, man, okay, parents, kids, whoever is out there listening to this, understand this. There's no such thing as recreationally using anymore, experimenting with drugs, because all recreational drugs and all drugs you're going to experiment with have poison in it today.
That's right.
And this poison is called fentanyl, and you never freaking know.
Nope.
If you don't get it from a pharmacy and you take it, you are gambling with your life. And there is no drug worth that. There's help and hope for anybody that wants it. Call Action. Call anybody. If you don't want to call Action, call someone else.
Right.
But
Right.
make a phone call. Reach out. Call me directly if you want.
Call me.
661-713-3006. If I can't help you, I'll find you help.
Absolutely.
March 13th, 7 p.m., Real Life Church. We're going to be holding a Candlelight Vigilance. Vigil and not vigilance, and it's Action Drug Rehab, KHTS Radio, and Real Life Church. Till next week, be safe out there, please. And ladies,
Thank
I
you.
love
Sorry
you
for
both.
crying.
It's okay.
Love you too, guys.
It's okay.